Nobody is coming to save you. And I know that sounds like a really depressing way to start a video, but I actually think it's one of the most freeing things you can realize. Because when you believe that someone else is going to come along and change your life, give you the opportunity, fix your finances, motivate you, give you the confidence, or somehow make everything work out, you give away a lot of your power. And I'm not saying that you have to have complete control of your life. I'm not saying that because you don't. You can't control the economy. You can't control other people's decisions. You can't control what opportunities come your way. You cannot control everything that happens to you. But I think a lot of us underestimate how much we can control. And that's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. Because maybe your life isn't where you want it to be right now. Maybe you're struggling financially. Maybe you're unhappy with your job. Maybe you're trying to build something and nobody seems to care. Maybe you feel like you're behind. But instead of asking, why hasn't somebody helped me yet? What if we need to start asking, what can I do from here? So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing is, man, you have to stop waiting for someone to give you permission. You don't need everyone to believe in you before you start. I think a lot of us are waiting for permission without realizing it. We're waiting for someone to tell us we're good enough. We're waiting for someone to recognize our potential, and we're waiting for the perfect opportunity. We're waiting until we feel confident, and sometimes years go by while we're waiting. But the truth is, sometimes you have to give yourself permission. If you want to start a YouTube channel, you can start. If you want to learn a new skill, you can start. If you want to change careers, you can start researching what that looks like. If you want to start a business, you do not have to build $1 million company tomorrow. You can start with the resources that you have right now. You don't need everybody to understand your vision. You don't. And you don't need everybody to support you. Sometimes the first person who has to believe in what you're doing is you, is me, is all of us. The second thing I want to talk about is you have more control than you think. You can't control everything, but you can control what you do next. This is probably the biggest thing that I've learned in my life. There are so many things in life that are outside of our control. You can't control whether a video gets 10 views or 10,000 views. You can't control someone giving you an opportunity. You can't control what somebody thinks about you. You can't control your past. You can't control how quickly your dreams happen, but you can control what you do next. You can learn, you can apply, you can save, you can create, you can make that phone call, you can send that email, you can post the video. You have permission. You can try again. Sometimes we're so focused on things that we can't control that we completely ignore the things we can't control. So instead of asking, why isn't my life changing? Ask yourself this: what is one thing that I can change today? Because you don't have to have control. You don't have to control your entire life. You just have to take responsibility for the part that belongs to you. The third thing that I would say is you can change your direction. This is so important because being stuck doesn't mean you have to stay stuck. Maybe you're looking at life right now thinking like, man, like I'm not where I thought I'd be. I feel that all the time. Maybe you thought you had more money. Maybe you thought you had more success. Maybe you thought you have a completely different career. Maybe you thought your business would be further. Maybe you thought your relationship would be different. And I've had those moments. And I think, how did I get here? Should I be further by now? Why am I not further? But here's something I have to remind myself, and it's this: your current situation does not have to be your final destination. In fact, I would say it's not your final destination. You can change your direction. You can learn something new. You can stop doing something that isn't working. You can start over. And starting over doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't. Sometimes it means you finally learned enough to realize that you need to go in a completely different direction. And you don't have to figure that out either. You don't have to have the next 10 years figured out. You just have to go, what's the next best move? So here's my bonus for you in this video. And it's stop confusing responsibility with blame. Taking control of your life doesn't mean everything is your fault. I used to feel that way so much. I used to think that my life was completely my fault. And I think this distinction is really important because when I say that I have control of my life, I'm not saying that everything that happens to me is in my control or that it's my fault, because it's not. Life isn't always fair. You know what I mean? People will disappoint you. You will lose opportunities. Things will happen that you didn't ask for. You can do everything right and still have something go wrong. That is life. It happens. But responsibility and blame are two different things. Something happening to you may not be your fault, but what you do next is where you may have some power. You can't always choose your circumstances, but you can often choose your response. You can only choose your response, I would say. And that's where your power comes back, man. It's in your choosing to react. So this is what I would say to close this video, and it's simple. Nobody is coming to save you. But maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe it's actually good news, because it means you don't have to sit around waiting for your life to begin. You don't have to wait for someone to believe in you. You don't have to wait for the perfect opportunity. And you don't have to wait until you're confident. You don't have to have everything figured out. You can start with what you have. You can make a different decision. You can change your direction. You can take the next step. And maybe you don't need someone to come and save you. Maybe you just need to realize how much power you still have. So if you're watching this and you feel stuck, if you feel behind, or if you feel like your life isn't where you thought it would be, I just want you to remember this. You have more control than you think. You may not be able to control everything that happens to you, but you can control what you do next. And sometimes that's enough to change everything, man. So if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Till the next time, peace.